a 4-minute Luka Kieran brace, a Kieran Morgan thunderbolt, and an Imran loser red card. For most of a dire first half, QPR had looked set for a repeat of their 4-0 thrashing by Watford at this same ground just over 2 years ago, and even with Morgan providing a lifeline just before half-time and the improved second half performance that followed, the Ars were still unable to reclaim a share of the points. I'm Connor, aka Hoopsa. I talk all things QPR, and in this match reaction, I'm going to be discussing all of the big moments from Watford to QPR 1. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and let's jump straight in. Julian Stephan made 3 changes for his second taste of Championship football, with Steve Cook replacing Escudina, Paul Smith coming in for Kwame Poku as he awaits further tests on a hamstring injury, and Roman Burrell swapping for Jan Seller. Jonathan Varane was able to make the bench this time after serving the requisite number of days out under the EFL's concussion protocol, as was Richard Kone following his midweek arrival. Now, with 3 centre-backs on the pitch, it would have been easy to mistake this for a 3-5-2 ahead of kickoff, one of Stefan's supposed preferred formations, but at 3 o'clock it became clear that this was once again a 4-2-3-1, with Amadou Mabenge out of position at left back and Morgan out of position at right back. Unfortunately and predictably though, and with no disrespect to either of those players, this is exactly where new Hornets manager Paulo Pezzolano targeted, because of course you would, and it was a plan that almost proved immediately fruitful. First came Kieran Gard's header over the bar, and then immediately after, Moussa Sissoko was set in behind all too easily down the right to cut back for a completely unmarked Edo Kiyembe on the edge of the box, only Joe Walsh's strong stop denying a sharp effort in the bottom right corner. Watford's first goal on 19 minutes was a mirror-perfect repeat of that move on the opposite flank. Nestori Irankunda played in behind the Rangers backline with ease and freely squaring to Kieran Gard for perhaps the easiest first Championship goal you could ever be gifted. And 4 minutes later, with Rangers yet to test Watford in their own box, it was happening all over again, starting with Sissoko steamrolling Karamoko Dembele off the ball, and Walsh being forced to spring out and clear a half-baked through ball. A decision that looked like he'd immediately learned a lesson about indecision from last week, until he blasted what looked a simple upfield ball straight back into Irankunda to start it all over again. 2 balls across the box later, neither Kiyembe or Imran Loser remotely challenged. Kieran Gard was celebrating his second with a simple back post glance enough to beat the outstretched Walsh. Beyond our obvious backline frailties, we were experiencing the same problem I've been talking about for 12 months now. You cannot play Sam Field and Nicholas Madsen, neither of which made a successful tackle between them during their time on the pitch, and hope to win the midfield, let alone a football match. And if you really have to, you need them playing the other way round, where Field can do the dirty work and Madsen can contribute to the attack, as we saw him doing at the end of last season. On 27 minutes, Rangers finally had the first of 2 first half shots, Liam Morrison's downward header cleared by Mark Bowler, but it remained the home side that dominated the efforts against a terribly messy Ars side. Jeremy Ngakia given the best chance for a third in the first minute of added time, with a sweeping cross from Bowler sent high over the bar. Now, QPR didn't deserve to walk into the break with the deficit halved, but thanks to Kieran Morgan, who was everywhere despite constant attacks down his right hand side, that's exactly what happened, the 19-year-old rifling a loose clearance into the top right corner just on the edge of the box for his second ever QPR senior goal. A fantastic finish, once again doing what his senior peers could not do, just like his first against Coventry last season, and it's a crying shame it arrived in a game that we still would walk away from empty-handed. Surprisingly, given what had just played out and the unlikely potential to now find a way back in there, Stephan made only 1 change at the break, with Ryan Colley subbed on for Smith down the left. But Rangers were far more at the races in the second half, Chair's early shot forcing Egil Selvic's first save of the game, and more crucially, Watford denied any further attempts at all until 77 minutes. And with most of our subsequent changes, QPR only improved, a double change of Varane for Madsen and Escudina for Mabenge on 61 minutes, giving some hope that this team can indeed play football when its first choices are both on the pitch and players are actually in their correct positions. Sam Field's header missed to the left on 62 minutes, as did Colley's shot from range to the right, while Chair's next effort on 67 forced another block from Selvik. When Kone joined the pitch for his debut on 70 minutes in place of Burrell, we only looked more like scoring, Steve Cook stealing a header from the forward from the immediate corner that followed, only to nod wide to the right. The new striker made no mistake about claiming Chair's next corner delivery 3 minutes later, rising well with a header of his own that looked goal-bound until another last-ditch clearance from Bowler on the line. Unfortunately though, Stefan's final substitution, Seller for a cramped-up Dembele, and Watford's first earlier in the half, Kwadwo Bar for Irankunda, changed the game again for the worse. On paper, adding a second forward while you're in the ascendancy and searching for an equaliser is perfectly sound decision making, but when that second forward is someone who didn't touch the ball once in the 16 minutes he was on the pitch, we were suddenly playing with 10 men again. Pair that with starters that were running out of puff, and the Hornets started to get chances at goal again, Bar shooting twice and setting up Deli Bashiru for his own miss in the dying minutes of the 90. Thankfully, Losers' late studs up slide on Varane stemmed their increasing attack, with the ref showing him a straight red on 93 minutes, but it was all too late to give the R's any kind of competitive advantage before the final whistle. So, plenty of deja vu from early last season with this game. Players unfit, out of position, and almost no grasp of midfield at all until those second half changes. It's obviously way too early to make any kind of judgment on Stefan for me, because his hands are tied in terms of who he can put out there due to the general lack of fitness, something that stung us before kickoff for most of the first half and as the game wrapped up. There were some tiny glimmers of hope, Varane changing the game for the better, Kone looking dangerous and classy during his small cameo, and Morgan once again proving to be a real asset despite the tough position he was once again put in. It does all again though scream that this squad is very short, and if you're going to have a short squad, they have to be fit. Escudina looked calm and collected in the second half, but we can't be down to only a 19-year-old at left back just 7 days into the season. In midfield, even with Varane back available, an experienced and confident 8 has to come into this team if we have any ambition of things going differently this season. Both of those positions would have been amongst my highest priorities alongside a striker this summer, and yet we're less than 2 weeks out from the window closing with those glaring cracks still showing, and they will continue to be punished if we don't make changes there. Anyway, that's my take on this match. Now it's over to you. What did you think of this one? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for tuning in for this match reaction. If you're new to Hoopsa and you've liked what you've heard, please consider hitting like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you again next time for my Coventry preview. Cheers!